Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Bhaktivinodaya Satchidanandanamane Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Bhanugavarayate. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Satchitananda Bhaktivinoda, who is transcendental energy of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. He is a strict follower of the Goswamis, headed by Srila Rupa. So I was informed today is the disappearance day of Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
It was actually yesterday.
There are two calendars. I checked my calendar, so.
Toronto's today.
Huh?
In Toronto it is today.
So, which day it was in India, that was the day, because he was in India's time. So, anyway, I was informed that was today, and then I suggested I would say something about Bhaktivinoda Thakur in relation to our parampara and our Srila Prabhupada and so forth. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as most of you already know, he appeared in the mid-1800s. 1839 was his birth year. At the time of his appearance, a dark cloud was hovering over Gaudiya Vaishnavism in Bengal and Orissa. That dark cloud was the cloud of the imitationists. We generally refer to them as the Sahajiyas. There were at the time 13 well-groomed, well-established communities of imitation. Some of them had sprung from the parental home of Nityananda Prabhu. Others had sprung up from the parental home of Advaitacharya. Others from Jata Gosai, Kas Goswamis, Smartas. There were 13 well-groomed sections of Sahaji, a cloud. Well-groomed mean they had been established by then for over 100 and 200 and 250 years. By that time, most of the world viewed Vaishnavism, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, as a woman hunter's profession, or a beggar's profession, or a combination of the two. But Gaudiya Vaishnavism was not a word which was spoken with dignity in dignified homes, in learned circles, and so forth. Because of the practices of these communities of people over the centuries, the real dignity of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, which has its central focus in love of Krishna, that had been so much misrepresented that speaking the name Gaudiya Vaishnava left a bad taste in people's mouth. That is to say, the line of pure devotion had almost vanished. What do you do in a circumstance where you find yourself surrounded by unfavorable conditions? Maybe somewhere where you work, or a place where you are in the park with your family, or just any particular thing, and the circumstances are so overwhelmingly unfavorable, you just sort of withdraw. Or you may try to take your stand and preach something and sell a book, but when you really face the difficulty and you're alone, you just withdraw. Keep your loved ones to your side and go your way. So this is what had happened. The pure Vaishnavas had withdrawn, they were not visible, and they had gone their way. And they were very, very few. At that time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur appeared in the personal entourage of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to re-establish the mission of Mahaprabhu. So, when he arrived and had grown, educated, and all these things, he passed through many departments of learning, and in the final stage of his learning, he took up Vedanta. And he was, for some time, he was a practicing impersonalist. He was learning the rigors of impersonal Vedanta. Then, at a time, he almost joined what's called the Brahma Samaj in India. It is said that the Brahma Samaj tried very hard to catch Kedarnath Dutt. That was his name at the time. They tried very hard. If they can catch Kedarnath Dutt and get them in his assembly, then they will rise very high on the social status. As a natural-born Vaishnava, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was, where's the word? He was not sufficient to say just advanced, but he was accelerated. Bhaktivinoda Thakur did things that are humanly impossible if you are a conditioned soul. If you appear in this world according to your previous life's karma, then you are at the mercy of Guru and Vaishnava. But if you are one liberated Vaishnava coming to this world, you may show us extraordinary spiritual activities even before coming into the line of Guru and Vaishnava. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote some of his most important works before he ever entered into the parampara of Chaitanya Vaishnavas. So he was as we say, a natural-born Vaishnava, born a liberated soul. So at a time, he began to search for Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now, if I want to search for Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's right there. Big 14-volume gold edition. Beautiful. In fact, it's probably in every house along this little stretch of street right here. Isn't it? In this area? But in Orissa and in Bengal at the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he searched for almost 10 years and he could not find one copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It had all but vanished from the face of the earth. As the pure Vaishnavas had hidden themselves, Chaitanya Charitamrita had also hid himself. The Chaitanya Charitamrita had hid itself away. And thus it was untouched and untampered with by these 13 Sahajya Sampradayas. They had meddled with everything possible in the line of Mahaprabhu, even Chaitanya Bhagavat. They had even created and fabricated some of their own fancy literatures to prove their position, like the book which is called Advaita Prakash, supposedly written by the household servant of Advaitacharya, whose name allegedly is Ishan. Every household servant in Bengal at that time was called Ishan. Ishan means household servant. But this book was actually a fabrication by one of these communities. So much of the pure literature of the Vaishnavas had been tampered with, and impure literatures had been presented as if coming even from the Panchatattva, Advaitacharya's servant himself. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was able to find one volume of Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that was not a printed volume, as we know books today. That was a handwritten. So that was a meager beginning, a humble beginning, but one destined for, we might say, world domination. Now, in countries throughout the world, you can find Chaitanya Charitamrita. Also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur discovered another book called Caitanya Upanishad. It also had all but vanished. Only one copy was revealed. Now that is available also, Chaitanya Upanishad. And I think last year or something, Back to Godhead magazine printed an article about that. Chaitanya Upanishad. So, at the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there was a word which was in vogue. It is called Raganuga. Raganuga means the followers of Ragamarg. Ragamarg means spontaneous love of Krishna. Two types. of love of Krishna. One, love of Krishna regulated by Shastra, scripture, Vaidhi Marg. Another, love of Krishna, it is unregulated by anything other than the sweet calling of love itself. Love is its own master. Love listens to no one and to nothing, and no reason. Some say love is a fallen condition. Generally, we fall in love. Fall. It is a fallen condition. Reason escapes us. Our better sense of judgment. We do unreasonable things when we fall in love. And love of Krishna is no exception. We stand as a wonder, amazement to many of our relatives for many years. Oh, my son, oh, my daughter, he went away, he left education, he joined that temple, so many things. Well, at that time we were not great lovers of Krishna, but we fell in love. And we fell in love with our Guru, with Prabhupada, we fell in love with Krishna. And then we do things that are unreasonable. Sometimes that person is threatened. If you don't come home, I'll take you out of the will. You'll lose millions. Huh? But I am the Gaina. Anyway, I have Krishna. This is very unreasonable. So Ragamarg, it is called Raganuga, is spontaneous love of God. It is not ruled by the Shastra. However, one cannot come to the stage of Raganuga, spontaneous love of God, unless he fulfills the life ordained by the Shastra. That is called Vaidhi Bhakti. There is no shortcut. There is no shorting. There is no shorthand in Vaidhi Bhakti. There is only fulfillment of the requirement of the Shastra. Passing through Vaidhi Bhakti, one can come to Raganuga Bhakti. So anyway, this word Raganuga was very much in vogue. During the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he introduced another word, which was not in vogue at the time. It was not mentioned. It was certainly not widely known or accepted. He introduced Rupanuga. Raganuga means a follower of the path of spontaneous love. He introduced Rupanuga. Rupanuga means a follower of Rupa Goswami. The line of Rupa Goswami had almost vanished. But it was Rupa Goswami whom Mahaprabhu appointed as the super fit person to distribute Bhakti Marg all over the world, to distribute the devotional mellows, rasa. He appointed Rupa Goswami. He put him at the head of our sampradaya. If there anybody here who is an avid reader of the Prabhupada folio or likes to hear the old tapes from 26 Second Avenue and such, you'll find numerous times where Srila Prabhupada says, we are Rupanugas. We are the followers of Sri Rupa Goswami. And that is not just a thing of this world. That has its ontological connection in the spiritual world also. The clan from there came here to recruit us, fallen souls, to a better life. A life of eternity, a life of bliss, a life of knowledge. They came to recruit us. And not like a leaf blows in the wind in autumn to land anywhere. They came to recruit us in a specific order of things in the spiritual world. Order of things, a particular line of service. If you have entered into this line, you will not be settled in any place in Vaikuntha. Although you may find so many descriptions of Vaikuntha in our books. You will not be settled there. Once a god brother of mine said, I'll be happy if I can get Vaikuntha. Then my reply was, Prabhupada's not in Vaikuntha. How you go? Anywhere where he is not there. In this living life, we don't like to go anywhere where he is not there. How you'll go there for eternity if he is not there? Where is he? He is there in his place, in Govinda. What is the standard to reach the local? We think crossing the material world is difficult. That we have to cross Vaikuntha. The material world is only a speck of dust in relation to Vaikuntha. That is an infinite world of beauty. We are enamored by the beauty of the mountains here. Very beautiful mountains, very beautiful forests, very beautiful trees. We are enamored by the beauty of our children. We are enamored by the beauty of our own face, which is the ugliest thing we ever saw. But we are enamored. We are enamored. Well, we struggle to cross the ocean of material existence, and how are we going to cross the ocean of spiritual existence and reach to the other shore of Vaikuntha? Actually, it is almost hopeless. But we have a good captain. He will take us there. That is our fortune. It is said that we cannot even chant the holy name by ourselves. When we find someone chanting the holy name of Krishna who is not in the parampara, that is called namabhasa. It's not actually the name. Only if the name has entered your ear, uttered by the pure devotee, and entered your heart, and you have accepted it there as a seed, then it rises to your tongue. That is Krishna dancing. But the name, when taken here and there, even with great interest, if it has not been received from the pure devotee, then that name is not Krishna himself. That is Krishna's shadow. It's called namabhasa. Or in some case it may be milk touched by the lips of the serpent. We will think, oh, Krishna Nam is Krishna Nam. No, Krishna Nam is not Krishna. It depends on the position of the chanter, from where they have gathered that Krishna Nam. We have in Mysore, where I live, Hare Krishna beadis, made in a little factory just outside of town. We have in South India, not Govinda's restaurant, Govinda's wine shop. Govinda's winery. What is that? And if you tour India, you'll find so many Govinda and Krishna steel mills. Is that the pure name of Krishna? No, that is called namabhasa. That may give up to liberation, but that never gives prema. That never delivers one love of God. Only Sudanam, the pure name of Krishna. So it begins from its inception. We have to take that name and the pure line. We have to hear that with our ear receptively, and we have to give that a seat within our heart. One who has done that, then that Krishna Nam is the Krishna dancing. Generally, when the higher devotees speak to us, they speak to us from a plane of their own experience. So Prabhupada is telling when Krishna, you are chanting Hare Krishna, he is dancing on your tongue. I used to think, my tongue? I don't know. His tongue, I'm sure. What's sure? My faith alone tells me it is sure. Another person, he may doubt it. Sometimes people think if Prabhupada were here today, everything would be perfect. It wasn't perfect even when he was here. Some of his disciples went to him and rejected him. No, we want to find a guru. He told you don't need a guru. Just go. Many people went away. It is not just some wonderful thing. Even Krishna himself, Bhagavan, he has appeared, and so many people are shaking their fist at him. They went to bring him down. Jarasandha has appeared with his, theatrical performance to declare that I am the real Vasudeva. Come to me, surrender to me. Even Krishna himself. Many opposed Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Many opposed Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Many people opposed. And sometimes one is even opposed by his own disciples. Just like royal families. They are sometimes done in by their own kind. Like, unfortunately, in Nepal. The royal family is done in by the royal family. This is a common thing in this. Who killed Kennedy in this country? Probably done in by his own kind. Probably will never know. So sometimes a disciple becomes the enemy of his guru and tries to do him in. So the real thing is our faith. Our faith is what confirms reality. Faith is not an abstract thing. Faith has its connection with the highest plane of reality, not the mind, not knowledge. Knowledge is dumb there. The highest plane of reality, square boxes cast round shadows. The highest plane of reality moves according to a whim, not a law. The whim is the law, and it's constantly changing. It's not governed by calculation. And faith is the only thing that stands there to guide us. And in this world, it is our most important thing, faith, Shraddha. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written, faith is the halo of Srimati Radharani. It is her halo. It is her aura. And if you consider, she is the mother of devotion, and faith is the substance of devotion, so certainly it must come from her. You see there are pictures, not necessarily that one, a little bit, but many pictures show an aura around Krishna, and then an aura around Radharani. And newcomers will ask, what is this light? What it is? And they are told, it is the Brahma Jyoti. It is Krishna's bodily effulgence. Then generally the person says, oh, that's nice. Spiritual effulgence, sounds nice. And they never ask, what is that light around her? What's this? They never ask. Sometimes they say, when entering the temple, you're introduced to Krishna, then while finishing a nice plate of prasadam, they will say, oh, who's that girl? Who's that girl? So it is very rare. First, we introduce Krishna, and actually never introduce Radharani to the public. She is not a public figure. Recently in Santa Rosa, this lady from a feminist kind of movement or something, she asked, well, in your thing, who's the most worshipful feminine deity? Well, there was one devotee there. He said, well, in our line, in our meditation, Radharani is the most worshipful feminine deity. Oh, you have any picture of her? Yeah, we have some pictures of her also. So he showed a picture of Radha and Krishna, something like this. But that lady wasn't very impressed. She wanted to see 9 arms of Durga. She wanted to see something with 25 breasts or something. She wanted to see something wild and furious. Now, that's a lady. She could not understand the village beauty of the Queen of Vrindavan. But that is not an ordinary thing, that is a high thing. Therefore, that is to be kept more or less secret, not public. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur introduced this word, Rupanuga, follower of Rupanuga. Mahaprabhu Sri Caitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya, Rupanuga Janera Jivan. We are the worshippers of Mahaprabhu Sri Caitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya, whose identity is the combined form of Radha and Krishna. Rupanuga Janera Jivan. He is very dear to the followers of Sri Rupa. So we are Rupanugas. Then nowadays, 100 years later, there is another Anuga. It is sometimes invoked. That is called a Prabhupada Anuga. I follow Prabhupada. Well, you know the sign of infinity, it goes like this. Once you start it, it just goes around. If you are actually a Prabhupada Anuga, you must be a Rupanuga, because he is. If you do not align yourself, I am Rupanuga, then you cannot be a Prabhupada Anuga. And if you are a Rupanuga, you must also be a Prabhupada Anuga. The only question there will come, well, which Prabhupada? Who's a Prabhupada? I live in an extremely pluralistic world of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. I have sat 100 times, with gentlemen nearly twice my age to do the same thing that we do here, chant Hare Krishna, and ask one another to speak, glorify our great acharyas, speak about Mahaprabhu and different things. And Prabhupada Kirtan is going on, but they're twice my age, and their Prabhupada is Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Now, you may be interested to know, well, who is the first Prabhupada? This name is quite a sacred name. It's quite a meaningful name, a title, Prabhupada. So generally, we discovered that Rupa Goswami was the first Prabhupada, Rupa Goswami Prabhupada. But in Caitanya Charitamrita one day I discovered actually it is Mahaprabhu himself who is the Prabhupada. In Caitanya Charitamrita you will find that Mahaprabhu, I think in 2 places, is called Prabhupada. He is called Prabhupada. Then after Mahaprabhu, Rupa Goswami alone, he was known as Prabhupada. And he was appointed, as I said earlier, he was appointed during the time of Ratha Yatra, this Rupa Goswami. He was appointed as the head of the Sampradaya by Mahaprabhu. And the reason that he was appointed was because he understood the heart of Mahaprabhu. He understood the love that was in his heart. Now, when we examine Rupa Goswami's life, you'll find out that he is at a great distance from Mahaprabhu. He is not close. He is at a distance. In fact, when he first comes to Mahaprabhu, he will not even approach. He stays at a distance. And he utters the prayer, Namo Mahabharanaya Krishna Prema Pradaya. He is the giver of this pranam to Mahaprabhu. He stays at a distance. Mahaprabhu has to forcefully bring him. And in his career, he is always at a distance. He is not tending Mahaprabhu in his room in Gambhira. He does not have personal service like Govinda. He is not in intimacy as Swarup Damodara and Ramananda Roy are in intimacy with Mahaprabhu. Rather, he is sent far away. Go to Vrindavan. There you will find Krishna. I will come to you there. So many things are said there. You go there, at a distance. When he comes to Jagannath Puri, am I running out of time? When he comes to Jagannath Puri, he also lives distant. He doesn't live exactly there with Mahaprabhu. So, at the time of Ratha Yatra, one day, Mahaprabhu began dancing and singing to Jagannath. What he was singing, no one could understand. And those who could catch what he was singing verses from Bharat Muni's Nata Shastras, Love Shastra. He was singing poetry, which is written there, describing the love affair of a boy and a girl. And he was singing this to Lord Jagannath. And so many of Mahaprabhu's intimate associates, even Haridas Thakur, he was there. Well, Nityananda Prabhu was there. If you see the list, hey, everybody was there. They were all present there. But they could not understand. What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? Then Rupa Goswami, later, he went to his hut and he wrote a poetry, a parallel poetry to that poem, that song that Mahaprabhu sang. And then the next day, Mahaprabhu came to see him. He discovered that. Oh, Rupa Goswami has written some poetry. Let me see. He saw it sticking on the roof. It was laying on the roof. It was written on the palm leaf scroll. After writing, it would be put to dry. He snatched it down from the roof. And I had a look at this, and Mahaprabhu became startled. What is this? What I say is in secret. How does he know? When Rupa Goswami came and asked, "This is yours?" "Yes." Slapped his face. But he was very smiling underneath this show of anger. He gave a slap to Rupa Goswami. "Why have you told this? What is in my heart you are now telling to everyone?" He had given a slap to him for that. Then Rupa Goswami was a little repentant. The next day, Mahaprabhu showed up with all his main eternal associates and demanded to see that verse, to show to all of them. See the position of Rupa Goswami. He knows my heart. So what we're interested in there is how to be drawn in to the love affair of Mahaprabhu. And the answer is simple. It is through service and surrender. Through service and surrender, everything which is of the highest nature of divinity will become known to us, in due course according to their sweet will. It is not something which a scholar has privy to, access to. You can study for eternity the highest conceptions of Leela. It is licking the bottle of honey from the outside. But through the life of service and surrender, even at a great distance, we will find that we are as if in a miracle, we are drawn into a reality, transcendental reality. We are drawn into the Leela of Mahaprabhu. And drawn into the Leela of Mahaprabhu, we find that we are simultaneously situated in the Leela of Krishna. It becomes known to us. And there is no second choice in this matter. Through service and surrender. Dasya Ras. Dasya Ras is the fundamental position of all living beings. Jiva Swarupoi Nityara Krishna Das. Mahaprabhu has given. This is the Swarup. Swarupoi Krishna Das. This is who we are. So, sometimes people try to fault our Guru. They try to fault Prabhupada. They try to say, he did not give Raganuga. There are many. From many branches, people try to fault him. But actually we find he gave us a straight, not narrow, broad, 8-lane highway to the perfection of life. Service and surrender. Not even knowledge. Sometimes people go with a fine-tooth comb through Prabhupada's books, and yes, they turn up something which is not Shastric, and they show it around. It is not Shastric. It is not Shastric for a point. The Shastras themselves don't even know clearly what is in the heart of the pure devotee. The time this Caitanya Charitamrita was written, what is love of Krishna was unknown. The Puranas don't know what it is. The Upanishads don't know what it is. It was a forgotten truth. In the next Kalpa, the Caitanya Charitamrita will be an Upanishad. It is freshly remembered. The Vedas had even forgotten it, even the Shastra. A mistake. Love of Krishna does not depend on such perfections. For example, Prabhupada says one where that there are 5 sons of Kunti. But they're not 5 sons of Kunti, there are 3 sons of Kunti and 2 sons of Madri. And the 5 of them are the 5 sons of Pandu. Panch Pandavas, not Panch Kuntiyas. Madri has 2 sons, Sahadev and Nakula. So some people say this is a mistake. Everybody in the world is subject to such mistake. But even that type of perfection, knowledge is not the path to love of God. We need some knowledge to get beyond the snare of Maya to know that eating animals is not good, and illicit activity and intoxication, all kind of knowledge. Some knowledge, that's called Sambandha Gyan. It is not just Gyan, it is Sambandha Gyan. It is giving us an acquaintance with the environment. Like sometimes when you cross into a country, they give you some acquaintance. This is the speed limit, these are our laws. Like if you go to Singapore, they tell you, as soon as you enter, death to drug traffickers.
Yay.
Be advised. It's some acquaintance with the environment. Because we're all right there. I'm only interested in the speed limit. So some acquaintance with the environment, the spiritual environment. Some aspiration will come. But the path is not just learning, and then even repeating about that place. No. The path is service and surrender. Service and surrender with faith. 3 things. Faith, Shraddha, surrender, Saranagati. Tomorrow I'm going to the place of Saranagati. Beautiful name. And Seva, service. Put your money where your mouth is. Seva. Not just talk about it. Seva. And without surrender, it is not seva, it is karma. We must surrender. Then we can do service. This is the path which was established by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is the path which was institutionalized in the form of a grand preaching mission to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. And it is that mission which Srila Prabhupada brought to this world. Once, when writing a letter to two of his disciples, Rameshwar Prabhu and Tripurari Maharaj, who was in a brahmachari, Prabhupada told, yes, go on with your service, and you will meet Radha and Krishna in the street. So, actually we don't take it that we're going down the street, all of a sudden, at the end of a block, and they've already got their BPG, here comes the divine couple. That is not the meaning. Oh, okay, the next person to turn the corner. Well, that is against Sahajiyas. But through that service, through the service to Mahaprabhu, through the service to your Guru, the Parampara, service to the Vaishnava. There are types of service. Vaishnava is there, Guru is there, Mahaprabhu is also there, his associates are there. Through this line of service, Radha and Krishna will make themselves known to you. It is subjective. It comes down to us like the sun. You cannot demand sun. Every day, what it is what it is. It's a sunny day in Vancouver. Tomorrow's a rainy day. It's what it is. We have no control over that. You have no control over the sun. And that's not, in the sun, it came out of one little pore hole of Mahavishnu. You can't control the sun, you can't control the clouds, and they're just made of thin air. Then how we can control Krishna? It is possible with love. You make such a noise, such a squeak with your heart towards Krishna, he'll reciprocate. So, there are no shortcuts to that. There are no shortcuts to that. Once, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he sent his disciples to Vrindavan. One of them wrote a letter, and he told Guru Maharaj, in Vrindavan, there is a lot of Leela Katha is going on in Vrindavan. And particularly at Radhakund, Govardhan, other places, Leela Katha, Rasa Leela is discussed at length. Other pastimes of Krishna in the 8 periods of the day, the pastimes of Krishna are elaborately discussed. Saraswati Thakur wrote back, and he said, yes, there are 8 divisions of Krishna's pastimes. These are the pastimes of beauty. One of his words there, beautitude. Means like beautiful. They're filled with beauty, filled with wonder, and filled with charm, and they are infinite. And then he said, but these pastimes don't look good in your small mouth, he said. Our mouth is a very small place. Try and put those wonderful pastimes. In other words, he was not in favor of being taken into detail of the Leela of Krishna. It should be kept a little distance, and not that we will enter into great detail there. If you are eager for Krishna, then take Krishna Nam. Let Krishna Nam fill your mouth, fill your esophagus, fill your chest, fill your heart. Let Krishna Nam take every atom of your existence and fill it and overflow beyond that. And that is the proof. One small proof, if you really want Krishna, take Krishna Nam. Fully, not partially, fully. What is 16 rounds? Once you're good at it, it's not even 2 hours. The rest of the 22, showering, talking, Time Magazine, newspaper, earning, so many things. What is 16? Mahaprabhu, he told 64 rounds. Mahaprabhu told 64 rounds. And when Prabhupada started in 26 Second Avenue, he came with the same instruction of his Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. He requested the devotees to chant 64 rounds. This was a cultural impossibility of the times. Then it was half, 32. And that also became an impossibility. Then it rested at 16 rounds. And to keep it from going down and down to 0, you keep halving things, you end up with 0. He made some very heavy statements. Very heavy statements. You're not chanting 16 rounds, you're not a human being. He made very heavy statements. But those are not literal, actually. And you have your experience yourself. Because there have been days when you didn't chant 16 rounds, whoever the you is out there, and I know there's more than one of you sitting out there. And you have your loved ones, your children, they're not chanting 16 rounds, they're just young children. You're not going to say they're animals. So therefore that instruction was like, well, let's put a bottom on this, halving it, you see, and try to raise it up a little bit. But even at that, he said 16 offenseless rounds. And with that offenseless, actually what he meant to say is 16 pure rounds. Because offenseless is also namabas. That's also offenseless. That's not good enough. That's not ever going to bring love of Krishna to the heart. Namabas. It may bring liberation of different types and free you from karma, but it doesn't give love of God. So when he said offenseless rounds, he means rounds of pure devotion, sudhanam. So anyway, I'm sorry, I get carried away. It's
Please,
way past my time.
please go on.
So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's day, always in advance if we think of something, we think to tell something. So this day also, or yesterday, or today, also Gadadhar Pandit, his appearance day. So Gadadhar Pandit, in the Panchatattva, is known as Radhabhav. He is the incarnation of the emotion of Radharani. Jananda Prabhu of Baladev, Advaitacharya of Mahavishnu, and Gadadhar of Radharani, Radhabhav, and Srivas Pandit of Narada Muni, Panchatattva. So it is noted that Mahaprabhu appeared on the full moon. But Gadadhar Pandit, who's Radhabhav, Radharani, he appeared on Amavasya, the dark night, no moon, no light here tonight, on the moon, very dark. So, and this is in connection with his position, that Mahaprabhu once, Srila Prabhupada's godbrother, Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj, who some of you know very well, some of you are disciples of him and so forth. Once, he told in this way, he said, after Krishna plunders the quality and characteristics of Radharani, now whatever that means, but when Krishna has plundered in their Leela the qualities and characteristics of Radharani, so generally, once your qualities and characteristics are plundered, there's not much left. He says, and what's left over appears as Gadadhar Pandit. So he is sometimes known as the shadow of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu is appearing with all these things, and Gadadhar is following behind his own natural wealth. So that Gadadhar Pandit appeared in the remote position under the dark night. Mahaprabhu appeared with the luster and beauty, the kanti and the bhav. Means the features of Radharani and the love of Radharani within. And Gadadhar followed behind, just a vacant personality, so to speak. But an astounding personality, nonetheless. Gadadhar Pandit. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta wrote in the end of his Anubhasya, Caitanya Charitamrita, but we won't find it here. When finishing Caitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada did not give that portion. And it only came to light maybe, in our world it came to light 22 years after Prabhupada's disappearance. But if you read Bengali, and you were a disciple of Bhaktisiddhanta, or you read Bengali, then it came to light before you were born. He mentions at the end of Caitanya Charitamrita, he says that the Leela of Mahaprabhu in Navadvip is eternal. It is always going on. Just like in Vrindavan. Krishna is always in Vrindavan. What you see, these rickshaws, Lloyd Bazaars, is not Vrindavan. There's nothing to do with Vrindavan. There's just most of it is an anartha coming over the top of Vrindavan. Vrindavan is within. Once Prabhupada said Krishna is not in Lloyd Bazaar. But if you go up on the roof and look around, that's the Rasa Stali.
Yeah.
You know, how can that be? This is the heart of the whole Rasa Leela. He means this exploiting mentality. Sometimes people put Prabhupada's picture in their shop. They just want to make money off it. In that way, exploitation, Krishna is not in that part of Vrindavan. We must enter into the real Vrindavan. So, anyway, yes, Navadvip. that Mahaprabhu's Leela also eternal. We go there, we see a few buildings, a few temples, one road, but we have to enter there. What they say in the beginning days, after Bhaktivinoda Thakur had his vision of Mayapur and the building of the temple began at Mahaprabhu's birth site and all these things, in those years and in years that followed, in the night, they would sometimes hear kirtan. Now, of course, you do. Somebody's blaring it out with their loudspeakers, you see. And it may not be the kirtan that you want either. It could be any kind of kirtan. But in those days, there were no electric loudspeakers and all this. And sometimes they would hear the kirtan coming from Srivasanga. They would hear kirtan, faint kirtan, late into the night. So Saraswati Thakur said that the eternal Leela of Mahaprabhu, it is always here in Navadvipa, it is sometimes hidden and is sometimes surfacing. So he explains that in the end of Caitanya Charitamrita, and then he says, I have seen with the eye of service, my divine eye of service, means in the life of his service and surrender, he has acquired a divine vision. He says, with this vision I have seen that Gadadhar Pandit and Swarup Damodar, two eternal residents of Navadvipa, they have reappeared on the surface and can be seen by many, although they are undetected. And that is Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Haridas Babaji. He says that Haridas Babaji was Swarup Damodar, and that Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the reappearance of Gadadhar Pandit. And this is in the last pages of Caitanya Charitamrita. Then he says, but if this is advertised everywhere and anywhere, means there in Bengal, it will be laughed at and I will be taken as a madman and a fool. But I have seen with my serving eye. So, what is to be seen by everyone, that's not so important. What is the opinion of the mob? It is usually not very valuable. You want to know something, approach an educated man or woman, somebody who's studied the field and knows something. General opinion. Not so valuable, actually. So what will be known to everyone? Well, then we should expect, well, then there must be something only known to a few. Something higher must be known to a more select group. Anyway, if Srila Bhaktisiddhanta was not your Param Guru, not the Guru of Prabhupada, and you were not in that line, you may doubt that. I'm sure many people have. They have doubted that. But he saw, this is the internal identity of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Gaur Leela. In Gaur Leela, in Chaitanya Leela. Bhaktivinoda Thakur also has eternal idea, means eternal identity in Krishna Leela. There are three types of liberated souls. Some are found only in Krishna Leela. And some are found only in Gaur Leela. And some are found in both. I have heard it say that that may be the good fate of any jiva, and I also recently heard that explained, but it was mentioning the parshads. The parshads are not ordinary jivas, they're exceptional spiritual entities, so to speak, like Lalita and Vishaka. They're not jiva souls. Subala, so many. There are hundreds of millions of. They're not jivas. They do not come from the marginal potency of Krishna. But in any case, as I said, three types. Right? Some only in Krishna Leela, some only in Gaur Leela, and some in both. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he has got his place in Gaur Leela, and he has got his place in Krishna Leela. And it is certainly a thing that is not very easy to understand with our mind. But through a life of service, we may gain some feeling about the truth. Once when Prabhupada was on a morning walk, maybe, Prabhu, you might have been there, it was in Los Angeles, he asked, how do you know Krishna is God? This was probably in the early 70s. Then there were some examples came. Scripture has said, something. Then some, Prabhupada, Guru knows everything. Guru knows. There were different like this. No, he said. Many scriptures there. Allah also there. Quran is also there. Bible is also there. Yahweh is also there. Scripture. Oh, you like Bhagavatam. He likes Bible. He likes Quran. Then from Guru, there are many gurus. Some say Ram, some say Krishna, some say you are God. Many gurus. So these are all true answers. This is where to find the truth. Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Then somebody said, I know it in my heart. And Prabhupada stopped and said, yes. This is the only proof. That is called anurag. Ultimately, we must listen to our heart. In the beginning, if you do that, you'll be nowhere and lost. Because the heart is filled with so many confused things. Or to speak of the mind, that's 10 times more. Confused state, mind, mental plane. So we put our feelings on hold in the beginning. To some people, it looks like we're giving up our individuality. We're becoming too regimented. We all wear the same color. We put on the same makeup. We got the same hairstyle. It looks like we're giving up individuality. No, actually, we're embarking on a path to discover individuality at a level of the infinite, at a level of eternity, unbounded individuality. But our individuality has been harnessed by so many things that we don't even know what that individual is anymore. So, therefore, some regimentation and coming strictly into a line. As in the training, say a martial artist or a dancer, they all have what's called forms. They step here, step here, step here, step here. It's so laborious, so like tiring, tedious. And the singer, up and down and up and down. It's like, when are we going to sing, you know? No, they go up and down and up and down. Whether it's music, vocal, martial arts, follow the form. And then suddenly they come to a level, in their sleep, backwards they can do it, they can sing it while gargling. It becomes their very inner nature. Well, we think we can know about God without such development in the beginning. Not possible. People don't want to accept authority. But yet when authority breaks down in this body, and instead of the pancreas filling up with water, the lungs fill up with water, then we die. We are very much attached to complete order. It's called health. Is an order of this body. The liver is processing, the kidneys, everything has its function in the organic whole of this body. And we're happy there. And suddenly, it breaks down. So actually, there is divine order. And first we have to get out of this chaotic order. Then we may develop some divine vision. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his fourth son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, they were the foundation of the Krishna consciousness movement. They still are the foundation of the Krishna consciousness movement, as we know. They are also there. And just as anyone will say or feel, Prabhupada is there. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta is also there. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he is also there. They are there, and they are there here also. They are also there, guiding this movement. In the early days, when those days came, their appearance days, disappearance days, Prabhupada had us pray to them. Pray to Bhaktivinoda. Pray to my Guru Maharaj. The earliest letters you'll find Prabhupada saying, actually you are all his students. He has sent you. This is actually the vision in Guru Tattva. The Guru does not see his disciples as his own. He sees them as being sent to him by his Guru. He said this is his movement. Indeed, actually it is. The movement of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. Since their time, we don't know who any great Acharya has been. Either Prabhupada or any of his god brothers in India. We don't know who they are in the spiritual world. But about Bhaktivinoda and Bhaktisiddhanta, we have some information. But they are very important. They are at the foundation, like the founding fathers of a country. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta made a logo for his movement. It's in many Gaudiya books, old Gaudiya books, you'll find it. And Prabhupada had that logo printed on the right and left-hand side of Chaitanya Chandradoya Mandir at the front gate. It is still there. Only a madman would remove it. As long as there's any devotee alive who knows how it got there in the first place, it will never be painted over. Although so many things are painted over and redone, that logo remains. Who did this painting?
Vishnu does.
Vishnu does. Okay. He used to paint in New Vrindavan, big murals. Who is that? Muralidhar. One day I arrived at Mayapur and he was out there. He was painting. I got off the bus early for the Mayapur festival, 3-4 weeks early. I walked up, we met. I looked at this. I said, "What is this?" He said, "Well, it's Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's logo. Prabhupada wants it painted on the gate." And he was painting it on the gate. It's a circle divided into, actually, if you've ever wondered what the hexagonal figure is mentioned in Brahma Samhita, well, that's it. Study that circle very well. And when you go to Bhaktisiddhanta's temple, which is just up the road from Yogapith, it's called Gaudiya Mission or something, I forget. You can get up in a tree and look down on the temple. You'll find that the hexagonal figure, this diagram of the mutt, is the foundational diagram of the building. The center pivot is the holy name. The holy name is at the center of this hexagonal figure. So Prabhupada had it painted on his wall. I think it escaped every one of us. What is the meaning? But Prabhupada's godbrothers knew exactly what that meant. It meant, Prabhupada was saying, in no uncertain terms, this is the movement of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. And he put those logos there. That all his brothers and sisters, they will know his movement is a movement of Bhaktisiddhanta. And their movement also the movement of Bhaktisiddhanta. But the overflow of foreigners to the banks of the Ganga definitely had a lot of people wondering what's going on over there. So, Bhaktivinoda, Bhaktisiddhanta at the foundation of this movement. So, on days like today, or yesterday as it may have been, it's nice to remember something of their contribution, something of their expectation. As you know, Prabhupada was very strict. He was very strict because his guru was very strict. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, he forbade the reading of many books. Vilap Kushamanjali, Govinda Lilamrita, he forbade them. And you know who he forbade to read them? He forbade Prabhupada to read them, Srila Maharaj to read them, Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami to read them, Keshav Maharaj to read them, Saranga Goswami Maharaj to read them. Now who were these people? Oh, they were not people like me, that's for sure. Born in the desert of Texas, and all that comes along with the life out there. Growing up in the 60s in Haight-Ashbury, they were not men like that. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta took that those high writings of the Goswamis, Raghunath Das Goswami and others, those high writings, they are non-different than the eternal Leelas themselves. And anyone not qualified who goes there and puts his nose there, even turning the page to read what is there, is paramount to a peeping Tom. Becomes an offender immediately. Unqualified. Unqualified to go there. Don't go there. Stay back in the life of service, sweet service and surrender and sacrifice. Sometimes people say, no, only if you enter Krishna Lila. You must enter Krishna Lila, you'll get the love of Krishna, you'll get the prema of Krishna. This is the preaching of every Baba and Braj. Every Sahaji and every Baba and Braj. No. We have another sound. Enter the Sankirtan Lila of Mahaprabhu. It's going on eternally. Enter there, and it will take you like an elevator all the way to it. This thing that goes out on the street, the devotees go out with the drum. This is part of the eternal Lila. You want to Lila, you enter into divinity, then enter into Sankirtan. It is eternal. And in that Sankirtan, Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, the Panchatattva, they are no. We only want Lila. This is Lila. This highest Lila is higher than Krishna Lila. Higher than Rasa Lila. The Sankirtan Lila. Rasa Leela is called Madhurya. It is so sweet, but it is strict and very limited. And in some circles, only 4 or 5 ever enter that Leela, that circle, for billions and billions of years. Only a few will enter that area. In Vrindavan, Rasa Leela had a few millions, but in Radhakund, 1 dozen. Small number. Small number. But when all the, not restriction, but it is restriction. When the cup is filled to its brim, that is called Madhurya Ras, Madhurya Leela. But when the cup overflows, that is called Odarya Leela. That is Gaur Leela. Krishna Leela is like a great lake of nectar. And Caitanya Leela is like that lake with tens of streams going in every direction, just distributing that. Odarya. When magnanimity is added to sweetness. Generosity is added to sweetness. It becomes Odarya, distribution. That is a unique taste. It is not that Caitanya Leela is a little second-rated portion of the spiritual world. No, it is the culmination. There is a place in Vrindavan. It is the Yogapith of Vrindavan in terms of Mahaprabhu. It is called Imli Tala. At Imli Tala, Radha and Krishna, they meet there after Rasa Leela for some time. And in their divine Leela, those two become one. Mahaprabhu returned to that later, the place of his origin, it is said. But then if we look deeply, is it his origin? Or are they his origin? It says in the beginning the absolute truth is one. That absolute truth has divided itself as Radha and Krishna to enjoy rasa. It's the first volume, which is missing, which Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yes. That same absolute truth, he is one. So like he's one impersonal Brahman and he becomes Radha and Krishna? No. Who is he when he is one? Just keep reading. And it says, those two have again become one in the form of Mahaprabhu. So you can take it as a circle, going in a circle in a sense. But it is certainly not that Mahaprabhu, he is existing only after Radha and Krishna. It is not like that. Neither is like Gaur Leela, just a little aspect. If anything, it is a bigger aspect because there is magnanimity. It is overflowing. It is abundant. When Nityananda Prabhu went to Vrindavan, slowly he was being drawn down to Navadvip because Mahaprabhu was beginning his Sankirtan Leelas. And he came through Vrindavan. Then lastly he arrived at Navadvip. They met. There's another story. They met. Then Nityananda Prabhu declared to the devotees, I have gone to Vrindavan. The thrones are empty. There is no Krishna at Vrindavan. He has come to Navadvip in the form of Gauranga. Here is our Krishna. He declared, I have seen the throne. I have seen the place. It is empty. Krishna is not in Vrindavan. He has come to Navadvip. And Mother Yasoda had a very peculiar dream some days later. She had a dream. She saw Krishna and Balaram sitting on the throne. And then Mahaprabhu came, and Nityananda Prabhu came. Nityananda Prabhu told Krishna, get off the throne. Your days are over. My Lord Gauranga has come. Go. Go another place. Come down and go. Hey, Baladev said, what? Our throne. Brother, he's Bhagavan. Then Nityananda Prabhu fought with Balaram. And Nityananda Prabhu was strong. He drugged Balaram from the throne. Mother Sachika. Very peculiar dream. She could not understand, but she expressed to some devotees, obviously, or how we know about it today. I believe it is in Chaitanya. No, it is not something that just gets us to Krishna Leela. Actually, without Chaitanya Leela, we will not have any Krishna Leela. We will not have any Krishna Leela. We will remain isolated in its own plane. Caitanya Leela is giving us Krishna. Thank you for inviting me to speak.
I have one question. You know that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he worshipped Govinda. You're saying that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was wrong, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur is not different from the
Yes, yes. That's right. That's right. And we find sometimes Nityananda we worship Baladev also. Maybe there are some things like that. I was reading something about that today. Vaninath Roy. Vaninath Roy established the first Gaur Gadadhar deities in Champahati. I think that's coming under the care of Chandragaya Mandir now. And then in the early days it was given to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. He renovated that. Vaninath Roy originally established the first Gaur Gadadhar deities. Then Bhaktivinoda established Gaur Gadadhar, which are now in the Narasingha Mutt in Yoga Pit. As you go around that little temple, there's Lord Narasingha one room, and around the other side there's Gaur Gadadhar. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta established Gaur Gadadhar in several places. So, yeah, that's a wonderful thing. For example, somebody thinks they know what it is to be a father before they have any children. And are they ever in for a surprise? Similarly, someone may think, well, I know what it is to be a guru, but are you ever in for a surprise? It is not what you think. So, what we see in Prabhupada, or what anyone may see in their guru, is not what their guru sees in himself. They wonder what they see in them. What they see in themselves is, oh, I am a servant of my Guru Maharaj, 100%. Without him, I don't exist. I am his eternal servant. If I have any success, it is only his mercy. These are not flattering words that Prabhupada spoke. You're getting a very clear picture of himself according to his vision of himself. And it never goes beyond that. Always, the Vaishnava looks upon himself in a very humble position, very, very obedient position to his master. Once I was asked something about my name once. And I said, Prabhupada's name also changed. Oh, that's because he was Prabhupada. I said, oh, in 1943, Prabhupada was walking around thinking, well, I'm Prabhupada, so I think I'll change my name. I don't think so. 1943, he's living in Calcutta with his family, still raising children. But he became Bhaktisiddhanta Das. I think if you have Leelamrita here somewhere, you'll find it mentioned. He became Bhaktisiddhanta Das. Anyway, that's another long story. So, the Jagat Guru doesn't think of himself as the Jagat Guru. In Hyderabad, I was once with Prabhupada and I told him, oh Prabhupada, you're the Jagat Guru. He said, no, you're Jagat Guru. I said, yes, but I'm the Das. I'm Jagat Guru Das. And he smiled. So that is very nice. So we will always see the divinity. Nothing is ordinary. If he belches, Hari Bol. Nothing. We don't find anything mundane in him. Nothing. Everything is divine. This is the sannyasi cape, right? You all know that, right? Now I'm wearing a Prabhupada cape, right? It's the same cape. If you wear it, a white dress man, he wears it like this. It's called a Prabhupada cape. He wears it like this. Don't wear that cape. That's a sannyasi cape. Okay. Any way you wear it, there's 7 ways you can wear this cape. This is a sannyasi cape. There's no such thing as a Prabhupada cape. There are these little hats, like this in Vrindavan, these little tie hats. What's it called? Prabhupada hat. Every Baba in the Braj is wearing it. Where'd you get your Prabhupada hat? Huh? It's called a Swami hat, but householders wear them also. And we thought Prabhupada was the only one that wiggled his head. And we got off the train in Delhi. Where are you coming from? The whole country was wiggling. Then we met Pishima, Prabhupada's sister. Right out of the same mold. Could have been twins. Oh, what is the Prabhupada? Once, one godbrother, I was explaining something to a younger devotee that Prabhupada doesn't look like Prabhupada in the spiritual world. He doesn't have this form that we see him in pictures. But then I said, but I think, from what I've heard, there are some devotees that think that's the way that Prabhupada looks, like he did here, there. And just as I said that, a godbrother entered the room, and he thought I'm trying to convince this young devotee at this point. And he said, that's right. I said, what's right? He said, Prabhupada looks like in the spiritual world, just like he did here. I was, well, let's get out the pictures. Which one is he? Which one is he? It's a, it's like that. It's a very complex thing. And if so, if he looks like that, then he must be a Vatsalya Rasi. He must be in Vatsalya Rasi. He must be in the older cowherd men's section.
So what he did say in Vrindavan, he said, when you go back home, back to God, you'll have no difficulty in recognizing you. That's what he said.
Yes.
That's what he said. You'll have no difficulty in recognizing you.
That's right. Now, this same thing, you can really play mischief with this and put any disciple of Prabhupada or any guru to test. Take his name off the book, put a computer voice over his voice, and play other people at the same tone. Now tell me, which one of them is your guru? You're almost destined to pick the wrong one. Or you'll say, well, they all are. It's all Prabhupada. And one will be Puri Goswami, one will be Srila Maharaj, one will be Madhav Maharaj, one will be a disciple of Prabhupada also. But nonetheless, like one day I'm sitting and I told the devotees, I said, I want you to read something. What should I read? I said, well, read Bhagavatam. When I say read Bhagavatam to my devotees, I mean read me Prabhupada's Bhagavatam. So I was doing something, sitting, and they were reading, and I was like, well, what are you reading? Oh, no, I'm reading 12th Canto. I meant I wanted you to read Prabhupada's. No, I'm not against 12th Canto, but the sound was not my guru. The other day I gave a class. I'm not trying to boast my own horn. I'm just trying to make a point here. I gave a class on Bhagavad Gita, on a verse that I had not read in 22 years, at least. I read the verse, and I didn't look at it previously. I just picked the verse, I read it. Suddenly I started talking. The talk went on for about an hour. Whoops, well, let us read the purport. As I read the purport, each point that I had talked in, it just came up one in succession. So naturally, the devotees think, oh, Maharaj read the purport before he had the class. So I thought, well, this is a good learning thing. So I made the mention. I didn't read this for 22 years. But I'm very happy to know that even after so many years not reading that verse, what is the line of my Guru Maharaj that is so much packed inside of me after a lifetime of service and devotion, that all that will come out is in his knowledge. Not anything more. Not anything more. Not anything less. Not that we can only refresh ourselves by reading what he said. Now, if we see his picture, all these things, they're what? They're reminding of something. They're reminding. He is not the body. Oh, he is now. There, in eternal life. But down here, Prabhupada told me, I am not this body. But I thought, even if you were, I would be fine with me. Because that kind of simple love. But he's not the body. So, actually, it is not overnight. It is not maybe today. It will not maybe be tomorrow. But it is the prayer of every disciple that he eventually, he or she eventually becomes so surrendered to the Guru, to their Guru, that he feels that they have taken control of every atom of your existence. And you have no other independent movement except for to carry out their order and carry The deeper finding is within. Finding within, not without. This world is going to vanish. In the end, we all get about as much space as we can occupy in the prone position. A lot of our relatives are saying ghosts from our ears. Our teeth have gone long before that. Say, where are you? It goes away. Even 50 people may be in the room with us, and we are not conscious of their presence. We go to an internal world. An internal world. So while living in this world, we are supposed to be introspective, looking within, not extroverted to the extreme that we only find our guru outside. Once Mahaprabhu, he came to the place where Krishna appeared in Mathura. There used to be an ancient big temple there. He began dancing in ecstasy. All those Mathuravasis, they were amazed to see this spontaneous love of God, and they couldn't understand what it is. They didn't even understand. They were amazed to see it, but they weren't saying, oh, it is love of God, see how wonderful it is. They were just amazed to see the activities of Mahaprabhu. Some word spread out in the village that some great sannyasi has come here, and one Brahmin came over, and he saw Mahaprabhu. Oh, he started dancing. He was not a Bengali. It's not that he was from Bengal. He began dancing. Suddenly he's dancing with Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu was singing kirtan. This Brahmin joined in with Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu saw him, and he could understand. Oh, he must have some connection with Madhavinda Puri. Otherwise, it is not possible what I see in this Brahmin. It is not possible. So later, the Brahmin brought Mahaprabhu to his house, and Mahaprabhu asked him about his spiritual lineage. And he told him, yes, I am a disciple of Madhavinda Puri. And Mahaprabhu was so happy. But he knew it beforehand. This taste doesn't come anywhere and everywhere. It is not man-made. It cannot be purchased in the store. It can only be received in the line of Madhavinda Puri. He holds the key to the entrance to that world. Actually, when you go back from our parampara, you go to your param guru, be it Bhaktisiddhanta or Prabhupada, you come to your param guru, and then the next is called Parameshti Guru. You'll come, Haridas Babaji will be there. You'll go back, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. You'll start back through the disciplic succession. When you reach Madhavinda Puri, you'll stop, take a shortcut, and go right to the spiritual world. You won't go all the way back through Madhvacharya and all the way back to Brahman. Actually, our parampara begins with Madhavinda Puri. He is a Kalpavriksha tree who is descended from Braj. And Radharani spoke through him and gave the seed of the Madhurya Ras. That was passed to Ishvara Puri. Ishvara Puri kept that. Mahaprabhu came and collected that from him. That Madhavinda Puri, he appeared in the Sampradaya Madhvacharya, who we trace in the line of Brahma, but the Madhva Sampradaya doesn't trace its line to Brahma. They trace their own line to Hansa Avatar. And they do not accept that Narada Muni is a guru of Madhvacharya. That Narada Muni is a guru of Vyasadeva. They accept Vyasadeva as an incarnation of Bhagavan himself, and only give the idea that he has connection with Hansa Avatar, who is also Bhagavan. And they cut that side and go on. They don't trace back to Brahma. We trace what's called Bhagavat Parampara, goes all the way to Brahma. But in your journey back to home, back to Godhead, from Madhavinda Puri, you go. That is the entrance. The others are not entrance into Vrindavan. None of them. They're all entrances to Vaikuntha. And born out of one path of Vaikuntha came the entrance to Vrindavan, to Goloka. And that is little explained in Kaviraj Goswami's book called Gorganadesh Tipika. He gives obeisances to Madhva because Madhavinda Puri appeared in that. But that's the it goes. So anyway, I was done. By hearing him, not by hearing, by seeing what was in this Brahman, seeing his spontaneity towards the holy name, then Mahaprabhu could understand. In the last 24 years, not that I'm searching, but I have turned over at least 3 devotees who are not disciples of Prabhupada, who claim to have been initiated by him. They have even become head priests in certain big temples in Prabhupada's movement, like Atlanta and other places in the past. They got themselves a name, picked up Gayatri Mantra in the Brahmacharya Ashram, read the Leela Amrita, and put themselves in between page 99 and 102. But while talking to them, it's like some doubt, something wrong. A Prabhupada just like, it's nice. Of course now, maybe I could run into many people like that now, with certain philosophies and folk, but this is before that.
Well, especially go to Bangalore.
I live 100 miles from Bangalore. So, but there's a tape, and it's just not who can spin the old stories. Because these people could tell some good stories. But ultimately I was left with a doubt. What are you supposed to challenge somebody and go, I don't think you're a qualified disciple? That's, oh my God, what are you going to do? That's an insult, How are you going to do that? But in the stories, I found an opening. There's one particular devotee, he told I just asked him, when did you get second initiation? He said, in Vrindavan before Prabhupada left. I said, were you there? Were you there when Prabhupada left the world? Yes, I was there. I said, oh, you were there. You were in the temple. Yes, I was in the temple. So now I had a way to prove my doubt. Otherwise, it's a doubt just born from hearing him, just from hearing about his idea of things in Krishna consciousness. I doubted how he can be a disciple. And then he said, yeah, I was there. So I was like, you were there when Prabhupada left the world. Yes. I said, where's his samadhi? I said, in relation to the front door of the temple, where's the samadhi? And he couldn't say anything. But then I had what you call evidence. But then he admitted, no, actually I made the whole thing up. But based on his story, most people just fit it all right in. Who can remember who was there? Who remembers something? You just fit yourself in there. But there is more to it than that. There is more than we will just like in Bangalore, not to throw a shadow on anybody, but that is a Ritvik temple. And one of their boastings is that they distribute more of Prabhupada's books than any temple in the world. That was very good. But what they don't tell you is my temple in Bangalore buys a big chunk of those books and sells them. So this sort of it's a false claim to fame. They're also selling those books because Prabhupada's disciples and grand disciples are out there selling those books. You cannot prove a thing by its size in this world. You cannot prove a thing by its wealth. You cannot prove a thing by its numbers. Oh, 200 people came. That proves it's right. Really. We have seen that fails. If so, when the Pope comes to town, you could all vacate these houses and rent them to the people that are going to come here to see the Pope. So numbers are not the evidence in Krishna consciousness. If so, the Naga Babas at Kumbh Mela, which numbered 50,000 naked sadhus with tridents and swords, well, they must be the right ones. Why do we
60
waste?
million people went to see them.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, and what they'll tell you? Show us your nakedness. That is realization. No, they told us exactly. Show us your nakedness. What is this mantra? I could have banged this guy. Show us your nakedness. This Ram Nam will not help you. They're choking with my bead bag. If that were true, a newborn baby would be a Paramahansa. Numbers are no. Then, but there may be many. That doesn't. Just see, there are many. It's bad. We don't go by numbers. We go by our ears. We go by hearing. Once there was a man. He had a beard and long hair. He was preaching in the West. So they said, Prabhupada, there's a yogi preaching and he's from Vrindavan, he has long hair and a beard. Is he bona fide? I was like, how do I know he's bona fide by what kind of hair he has? What does he say? What does he say? Then we can catch. When, what was his name? Vishwambar Goswami, brother-in-law, he toured the West 2 or 3 times. Similar kind of question. Oh, but he belongs to a caste Goswami. Once we were talking with one of Prabhupada's godbrothers, and they mentioned, oh, this Vishwambar is from caste Goswami family. He said, one is not automatically unbona fide just because he's born in a Goswami family. So we take these established things. Goswami is bad, so if you're born in a Goswami family, you can never be a pure Vaishnava. So we don't judge on the externals. If you judge on the externals, you will not go very far. You'll always be deluded by something. There is an internal taste about what we are searching, and it is preluded with this slogan, which is an old Western slogan: first deserve, then desire. First deserve, then desire. Don't try to make the highest aspiration in eternal existence your pocket charm in your pocket. First deserve, then desire. First qualify. That should be our inquiry. How to qualify. What can we do to qualify ourselves to be accepted by Krishna? And that is purification. We must undergo purification. Without purification, we are not fit for Him. We are not fit to be embraced by Him. Only the process of purification. That will make us fit for the Lord's service.
Rush. You told us earlier.
That's right. Stop dead in my tracks. Go Premanandi, Hari 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 Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.